Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I'm going to talk about what it means to have your natal moon in the sign of Libra. So what is the moon sign? The moon sign is our emotional self, our inner self, our deepest heart self. It's our habitual reactions and responses to life that goes beyond thinking, right? Like Mercury, it's our emotions. It can also show our childhood and the energy that we were brought up in or that we felt we were brought up in, how we experienced our mother. And in a man's chart, it can show the type of woman that is his image of wife. So, the moon in Libra. If you have the moon in Libra, I think it's really important to take into consideration what sign Venus is in. I've seen this placement really show like the Venus sign is really quite dominant here as far as the emotions. Like if you have Venus in Scorpio as a moon in Libra, I feel like it's almost like you have a Scorpio Libra moon. Like both are Venus in Virgo with a Libra moon. The Virgo energy comes out really strongly. So I think the first thing is that I would say is look at your Venus too, because that seems to be, at least from my experience, quite a dominant part of your personality and your emotional self. So aside from that, people with the moon in Libra have an emotional need for partnerships and harmony with others. They need environments around them that are peaceful, social. They need more socialization than some of the other moon signs. And there is a deep emotional need for their soulmate, their other half. It's a big part of what they're really searching for, and they are the true Libras of the zodiac. Really, I mean, the moon in Libra, even more than the sun in Libra, they really need to have a harmonious relationship. So when you see the moon in the sign of Libra, and you could have other things going on here that would mitigate this, but when you're doing synastry for someone with the moon in Libra, they need a more compatible synastry. And like you might be thinking, well, doesn't everybody need a compatible synastry? And actually, no. Some of the other signs, they can do better with some squares and some tension and like some difficult aspects. But and all synastry has bad and good aspects, right? Like that. It's not possible to have it all good. But when you're seeing someone with the moon in Libra and consulting with them, they do need a relationship that is more harmonious and more pleasing. And the mate needs to be someone who will get along with them and make an effort to be peaceful, And we could have other things going on that would show otherwise, so there can be difficulty here, because what the moon and Libra person is really needing is that peaceful partner, that person who can be a true equal with them. They really need to have that balanced give and take type of relationship that's really reciprocal, and that is like their nourishment, right? Like I've known people with the moon in Libra to be so depressed over relationships and just so hurt by heartbreak and so devastated being single. Now, that's not going to be the case for everyone, of course, but I have seen that in Libra moons, that really deep fear of loneliness. And it is coming from a true place though, because the moon sign, it's not bad or wrong the way that we feel, right? Like all the moon signs have an emotional need for something. And, with the people with the moon in Libra, they do have an emotional need for other people. And so, the type of teachings that's like, you gotta be happy with yourself first, or you gotta be okay on your own before you're with another. I mean, need not apply so much to Libra moons, because that is I mean, and you could have the North Node in Aries or something, or then that would be more true. But you know, really for them, they do need a relationship. So like that kind of advice, you don't need anyone, just focus on yourself. Okay, well, no, Libra moon, they need that. That is their oxygen. They need other people. And so because of that need, though, this is where it can get into a more difficult place. They can be the people pleasers, and you can even notice, like, when you're relating with someone with a Libra moon, like if you have a really strong opinion about something, and maybe they don't, they might try to actually pretend like they do too. It's a very interesting thing. Libra moon people, when they're coming from a not so balanced or healthy emotional place, they can really mirror others. Like if you're if you're going this way, well, all of a sudden they're going that way too, and it was their idea. And so that's something they need to watch out for, is like when their emotional need for partnership is causing them to actually compromise their own integrity and go along with something or someone that is actually not really them. So it would be a good idea for people with Libra moon to every once in a while just take a step back and go within and just ask themselves, who am I? Right? Like, who am I really? Because there is a tendency to kind of morph into the other people around them, especially if the other people are more dominating and you know, that type of person, like because they do need that type of person for balance, right? But they need to not forget who they are, and they need to not dishonor who they are just to be in a relationship, right? They need to be able to remember who they are and honor themselves. Because the interesting thing about Libra is a masculine sign. You know, and what that means, that polarity, is that they actually are like the action takers. They're the go-getters. Like they are, they're creative and they're individual too. Like but they're, you know, what they're creating is harmonious relationships and harmony and peace, right? But they do need to act, and they do need to not lose their sense of self, right? Because they actually are here to be more of like a dominant social force in life. Like, so they're very good in business. They're very good in all types of fields of where there's communication with people. You know, they could be great salespeople. They could be great one-on-one with people, or great like in a group setting. So they need to remember who they are so that they can actually be that force for, you know, the public that they're meant to be. It's actually more of like a public moon. Like we have, you know, it's different than the moon in Virgo that I just talked about, where they don't necessarily need to be like with the public in a one-on-one sense. They can be, you know, more inward. But with Libra moon, there is this it's almost like a socialite, or they do have a deep need to actually relate with the public on a more like seen level, right? So but in order to do that, you know, they need to make sure they're actually being themselves, because there is that tendency to kind of just be what they think other people want them to be, or what other people are actually asking them to be. Like if they are with someone who's more dominating and who is actually saying, you need to be this, and then, okay, like, but that's going to make them very resentful, because there is actually like a strong individuality with this placement. Like they do need to just really focus on being themselves as well. And the Libra Aries polarity is always like about self versus others. So like we're gonna have a little bit of both coming out at times in order to balance this, because Libra is about balance. So they kind of need to figure out that self versus other balance. The other thing too, they can be very artistic and very um, they have an eye for beauty, and they can actually be very beautiful, although you wouldn't necessarily say the moon sign shows physical appearance, but it kind of does, because it shows such a big part of our energy and our aura that it actually manifests physically too sometimes. So people with Libra moon are usually quite physically attractive and beautiful in some sense. There's something about them. There's an aura about them that is quite attractive. And maybe that's for the purpose of that this is a relationship lifetime for them, and they need to be, attractive to their soulmate people, because that's where they get their emotional peace from, is in the relationship. So they have this like attractive personality. And interestingly enough, there can be kind of a more of a coldness, or like in the one-on-one sense in the relationships, there is an element of Libra moons that's actually more calculating, and more like they can be a lot more conservative and reserved, and like because of Saturn's exaltation in Libra, like they're actually kind of Saturnian in a way. They're more serious and conservative about life and relationships than they would let on, or than they would appear to be. So there can be kind of a coolness about Libra moons that can be surprising for people, because they seem so ready to be the pleaser, or the person that's in a relationship. But when it actually comes down to it, they do have a pretty high standard of the type of person they want to be with, because they do need that harmony. But they can be quite cold and calculating about relationships as well, and in their life. Like emotionally, this isn't, you would think it is, but this isn't an emotional sign. Like they can have, not that they don't have emotions, but that's not their main response to life. Their response is to create peace and harmony. It's not necessarily emotional. It's relational. It's not emotional. We're talking air here, okay? So, surprisingly and shocking to people, this isn't a super emotional moon sign. And sometimes that could hurt people, because, you're in a relationship with this Libra moon or whatever, and they're so accommodating and they're so harmonious, and then all of a sudden they're in a relationship with someone else and not you. Okay, no, that won't always happen, but that can happen. And so that part of this moon can shock people, that they can actually appear cold at times. And it's not really coming from a malicious place, though. It's actually just like the Libra moon values balance and harmony so much that if something is off to them or wrong to them, for their emotional peace and sanity, they need to be around people that are harmonious to them and pleasing to them as well. So that can sometimes manifest as this coolness in relating, because they can't be around like disrespectful people, or very like vulgar like types of energy. That's not a part of their life. So they can actually appear a little bit they can seem stuck up, or like a thing like that, like nose in the air. But it's really just like to protect their peace. It's not coming from a malicious place. It's not coming from a mean place. They just have a high standard of what is allowed in their life, because of their very important need for balance and harmony in their relationship. So that can appear to be kind of like what I said there, like snobby or uppity or whatever, but it's not actually because they're like that. It's not Capricorn moon, but it's sort of can seem like that sometimes. So anyways, yeah, it's a very complex placement actually for the moon. And these people can even confuse themselves at times with their emotional needs and the way that they are. It's actually truly fascinating. But I hope this hasn't been too harsh on them. I love this moon sign, you guys. Your moon goes in my 7th house. It fits so beautifully, and I do feel like, you know, the world needs Libra moons to be that muse, to be the beautiful ones, the harmonious ones, the courteous ones, the relational experts. I mean, it can be so healing to be around Libra moon people because they just harmonize the situation. They just, you know, bring order, they bring tact, they bring pleasantness. Although it's sort of non-emotional energy, they do bring a soothing energy, in my opinion, to life and to the world, and they can be very gifted socially and very creative and an eye for beauty and truly beautiful people. I have some very good friends with this placement, and yeah, it's complex, and I would recommend, again, you know, looking at Venus. What is Venus's sign and placement, because that is going to come out a lot in their emotions as well with this placement of the moon. So anyways, I'd love to hear your guys' experience of this. How does it feel having Libra moon? How is it like being married to someone with Libra moon? I'd love to hear your stories of this. And I do offer one-on-one sessions as well. I do a one-on-one soul purpose session going deep into your natal chart. And then I also do a synastry session, a relationship chart reading, where we go deep into the synastry and the aspects there and, you know, the purpose of the relationship. So my links are below. Love you guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk soon.